Good morning and namaste to you all. Thank you for joining me to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. So find a nice, comfortable seated position on a towel or blanket, cushion, block, whatever will help to elongate your back and the back of your neck and open your chest and open your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on the mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention, we're going to talk about Ayurveda again. It's that time of year where it's the fall season, and in the fall, well, let me start with Ayurveda, what it is. Ayurveda is an ancient health system. It's about 5,000 years old and is the sister science to yoga. And Ayurveda focuses on 3 doshas or energies, the Vata, the Pitta, and the Kapha. All 3 of these energy types are present in each one of us, in our body, in our mind, and in our spirit. But typically, if you have one that is a more predominant than the other, and there are quizzes, and I can give you a link again to where you can take this quiz to find out if you are more Vata, more Pitta, or more Kapha. And what you want to do is, when you find out, the goal of the science is to keep us in balance. So I'm more of a Pitta. That means I tend to, first thing comes to mind is kind of hot tempered, but I kind of run hot. And in the summertime is not my time of year because I'm hot and the summer is hot. So we kind of clash. We're trying to find the balance of one another. Whereas in the winter, I thrive because it's cool and I'm hot and that balance is met. So the goal of the science is to keep us in balance, and it's done through either what we eat or through emotion and wellness routines. Doshas are applied to other things, and that brings us to this time of year, which is fall, and fall is considered a Vata season. It's governed by the elements air and ether, and its characteristics are dry, light, cool, rough, and windy. Think of a cool fall day that's really windy, blowing the dry leaves all about, and that's typical of the Vata season. So with it being dry and windy and a lot of air, what you want to do is balance that off with wet and moist things. So in terms of eating to balance off the dosha season, and for us being in New England in particular, but in North America, it's kind of easy to accomplish this this balance of seasons, because what you would want to do is to eat stews and soups and root vegetables and a lot of hot drinks with warming spices like cinnamon, cardamom, and meditate. And then also do a lot of grounding poses in your yoga, which is what we'll do today. So that is the Vata season. And I will put that link for the quiz up. And I also put up a link last year for golden milk, which has turmeric, and it's a warm milk that you can make with dairy product or not, and use turmeric as a nice warming spice. It's kind of like a gingery taste to it. For our pranayama today, the pranayama I'd like to do is all about balance, and it's all about anxiety. One of those things that it's typical in the Vata season is that with that swirly, dry wind, you can get kind of anxious, and it's hard to keep feeling connected to the earth and grounded. So this particular pranayama will help you to relieve any anxiety, and also because it works on both channels of your energies, it's a nice balancing technique. So it's the alternate nostril breathing technique. And what you would do is you would take your hand, and there's a mudra called Vishnu Mudra to use while you're doing the alternate nostril. So you bring your two fingers down, and you have your thumb sticking out and your ring finger sticking out. And typically it's done with the right hand. And you place your thumb against your right nostril, breathing in through your left nostril. Once you reach the top of the inhale, then you would bring your ring finger over to the left nostril, close that off, and exhale through the right nostril. Then inhale through the right nostril. Once you reach the top of the inhale, you would switch fingers, close off the right nostril with your thumb, and exhale through your left nostril. Then inhale through your left nostril. Reach the top of the inhale, switch fingers, ring finger to the left nostril, exhale through the right. And just the key is whenever you reach the top of your inhale, you're going to switch fingers. So let's do that for a few moments. And one last inhale and exhale. Anytime you feel your life is kind of swirling around like a windy day, maybe employ that breathing technique and see if it calms you down. So for our meditation this morning, just going to have you focus on your breath and visualize yourself as a tree. Just sitting there as a nice, strong tree. Send your roots deep, deep, deep into the soil. And today we'll do a mantra. And the mantra is, I am rooted to the earth and supported by the universe. I am rooted to the earth and supported by the universe. I am rooted to the earth and supported by the universe. You may open your eyes now, and we'll start our asana part of our practice. And you can stay on your blanket or cushion. You may want to adjust as we get a little further in. But we'll start with shoulder shrugs. So just inhale, bringing your shoulders up to your ears gently, and exhale, bringing them back down toward the mat, making round circles as you go. And try to relax your shoulders, relax any tension in your back as you're doing this. And then reverse the direction softly and gently. And bring your soles of your feet together into cobbler's pose. Just let your knees drop to the side. And you can wrap your fingers around your toes by interlacing your hands and wrapping them around your toes. Or you may want to hold on to your ankles. Then we're going to, with a straight back, chest out, heart open. We're going to bring our elbows toward our knees as we lean forward. And just go till you reach your sweet spot. And then come back up to a straight seated position. And we'll gently do that again. Send your elbows toward your knees with a straight back, just gently lean forward. Maybe come down a little bit more than the first one. And then come back up to a straight seated position. And then one last time, send your elbows to your knees. Lean forward and maybe come down just a little bit more stretch. And then come back up to a seated position. Bring your right foot in front of your left foot or left leg. So they're not crossed, but they're sitting side by side. We're going to do a forward fold, seated forward fold. So gently walk out. And again, walk as far as you can till you reach that sweet spot. And just rest here for a moment. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Invite pose into your body with the breaths. And then walk your hands over to the right side until you reach, and if you can, until you reach where your chest is over your thigh. And then walk your hands back. Come to a seated position. And then we're going to bring our right leg up, so the knees up, facing the sky. Wrap your left arm around your right leg, bringing your right hand to the back of your hips. And keep it close to your hips so that your spine can stretch out nice and long. And just gently twist your body to the right side. And then come back to the center. We'll come back to cobbler's pose, bringing the soles of our feet together. Again, wrapping your hands around your toes or wrapping your hands around your ankles. Okay, sit nice and tall. And then send your elbows toward your knees and slightly bend, lean forward rather. over, and then come back up. And then send your elbows toward your knees, exhaling, leaning a little bit further if you can. And then back up. And one last time, sending your elbows toward your knees, straight back, leaning forward. And then come back up. This time, bring your left leg in front of your right leg, lying them down side by side. And then slowly walk your hands forward for a seated forward fold till you reach that sweet spot. And then take a couple deep breaths. Inhale, exhale, inviting the pose into your body. And then walk your hands over to the left side so that your torso, if it can, come over your thigh. Mine doesn't go over my thigh quite as well as it does on the other side. And then walk your hands back up to a seated position. We'll bring our left knee up, planting the left foot onto the mat, knees up toward the sky, and wrap your right arm around your left knee. Bring your fingertips to the mat and back of your hips, and gently twist to the left, sending your gaze straight ahead. And then come back to center. We're going to roll down on our back so you can remove your blanket or cushion. And you slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time until you feel gravity take over. And then just come and lay down. Your knees are bent, so they're facing up to the sky. And place the palms of your hand beside your hips just to support you. Get nice and snug and grounded in your mat. We'll do some supine cat-cows. So for the cat, we're going to arch our back and actually create a bowl with our pelvis and our lower stomach area. Just kind of create a little bowl. Our hips still stay on the mat. And then for the cow, we're going to arch our back just ever so slightly. So you can run your hand underneath your back, if you will. And then round our back into cat, creating that bowl. And then exhale, arching the back, creating the cow. And then just continue at your own pace with deep inhales and deep exhales, synchronizing the movement to your breath. Nice, gentle, slow, grounding movements. And then bring your back to a neutral spine. Bring both legs down to the end of the mat, just extending your feet to the end of the mat. Flex your toes up toward the sky. And then lift your left leg up, bringing it to the chest. And then we're going to put our left hand around the top of our left knee and extend our left arm as far as we can go. So your knees just kind of suspended there. And then we're going to bring our left knee over our right hip, right thigh. So the knee is over our pelvic bone on the right side. And we're going to guide that knee up toward our right shoulder and come up just as far as is what's comfortable to you. It's going to be at your leg's going to be at a diagonal a little bit. And then bring that left knee to the left shoulder, and you can guide that toward the left shoulder a little further. And then extend your arm fully again, so you're moving the leg away from your left shoulder. So we'll continue that movement. Bring your left knee over your right hip bone. Guide it up toward your right shoulder. Then guide it over to your left shoulder and bring it closer to your left shoulder. And then extend your arm fully away from you. And keeping your foot flexed, we'll do this 2 more times. So bring your left knee over your right hip. Bring the left knee up to the right shoulder. Then guide it over to the left shoulder, bringing it back a little further. And then extend your arm fully out. And one last time, left knee to right hip, left knee to right shoulder, left knee to left shoulder, and then fully extend your foot down to the bottom of the mat. And then we'll do that on the other side. So then put your left palm down just to support you on the mat. Bring your right knee all the way up to your right shoulder. Give it a nice hug, toes are flexed. And then bring your hand around and cup your right knee with your right hand and extend your right arm fully away from you. Bring the right knee over the left hip. Guide the right knee up to the left shoulder. Guide the right knee up to the right shoulder. And extend the arm fully. Bring the right knee over the left hip. Guide the right knee up to the left shoulder. Guide the right knee up to the right shoulder. And extend your arm fully. One last time, bring the right knee over the left hip. Guide the right knee up to the left shoulder. Guide the right knee to the right shoulder. And then extend it fully, bringing it down to the mat. And we're going to come back up to tabletop, so you can roll over to your favorite side and come up to tabletop, or if you'd like, you can put your hands under your knees and kind of roll your back until you come upright. Either way. Okay, come into tabletop. Well, your fingers are spread wide apart. Wrists are right below your shoulders. Your weight is evenly distributed in both hands. Knees are right below your hips, and navel's tucked to your spine. And actually, if you're in the middle of the mat, this will work better. So we're going to do an extended puppy. Those of us who have pups all know this pose very well. So with your knees right below your hips, You're going to walk your hands out, bringing your chest down to the mat, bringing your forehead to the mat. Your chest doesn't quite reach it, but your forehead should. Just nice big stretch here. Then walk your hands back. And we're going to send our ankles, our hips down to our ankles rather, into child's pose. And keep your arms stretched out front, bringing your hips as close to your ankles as is comfortable. Then inhale, come back up to tabletop. With tabletop, we're going to bring both knees together so that they're directly underneath us, and we're going to go into bird dog. So then extend your right leg up at hip level, and try not to twist your hips. Try to keep your hip bones parallel to the mat. And then bring your left arm up, pointing the fingers to the top of the mat. And we'll point our foot, our right foot, with an inhale and exhale, flex our foot so the toes are pointing down to the mat. So inhale, point, exhale, flex, 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 and bring both arm and leg back down. So again, with your knees touching together underneath your torso, underneath your hips, send your left leg up into the air, hip height, keeping your hip bones parallel to the mat, weight evenly distributed in both hands. And then lift your right arm up, fingertips going to the front of the mat, toes pointed to the back of the mat, inhale, flex your foot, exhale, inhale, point, exhale, flex, inhale, point, exhale, flex, inhale, point, exhale, flex, inhale, point, exhale, flex, inhale, point, and exhale, flex, and bring both hand and leg back down to the mat. From tabletop, we're going to tuck our toes under and walk our hands back, coming into the squat. And then push down into our toes, come up into mountain. We'll go through our mountain essentials. So mountain is one of the key poses in yoga. A lot of poses come from this, as from seated pose and the tabletop. So if you have the essentials of these poses down, you're in good shape with your alignment. So let's just lift our toes up off the mat, spreading our toes out nice and wide, and then bringing the toes down to the mat and lifting our heels up off the mat. And then bringing the heels down, feeling grounded in our mat. So that the mountain poses are often poses that lead into the grounding poses that I was talking about earlier. So our legs are nice and straight and strong, gentle bend in our knees, navel's tucked to the spine, shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Our spine is nice and straight and long. Crown of our head is reaching up to the sky. So if we pull a string, we're just kind of all nice and straight in line with one another. Hips and shoulders, head. And then we're going to inhale, sweeping our hands up overhead. Palms come together, and then exhales, dive down, Bending your knees deeply, bringing your hands to the mat. And then just take a few deep breaths here. Your hands and your feet are grounded. Feel the earth support you, the universe support you. Then inhale, sweeping your hands halfway up your legs to your shins, straightening your back, come into half forward fold. And then exhale, drop the crown of your head down toward the mat for forward fold. Then inhale, sweep your hands all the way up from the mat to overhead. And then come up onto your tippy toes and we'll do a palm tree. Just pretend, not necessarily a palm tree, but a tree that's blowing in the fall wind. And our leaves are starting to come off, coming down onto the ground, floating gently. And we're still grounded to the earth. We're still rooted and connected to the earth. And then bring our heels down, forward fold. Bringing our hands down to the mat, deep bend in your knees if you like. Inhale, bring your hands up to your shins, flat back, half forward fold. Exhale, dropping the crown of your head down toward the mat. And then sweeping your hands from the mat all the way up and overhead. Keeping our hands up overhead, arms close to our ears. We're going to bring our right hand down to our right thigh. And then slide that right hand down toward our knees. And then inhale, come back up, bringing the right hand up to meet the left. Drop the left hand down, slide it toward your left knee. Forward side stretch. And then inhale, come back up again. Right hand comes to the right thigh. Sliding your hand down toward your knee. And then come back up again. And one last time on the left. Drop your left hand to your left thigh. Slide it down toward your left knee. A nice stretch on the left side there. And come back up. Exhale, forward fold, bending your knees again if that's comfortable for you. Hands come to the mat. Inhale, half forward fold, bringing your hands to your shins, back flattens out. And then exhale, sending your crown of your head down toward the mat for forward fold. Then we put both hands on the mat, so you bend your knees again. And I'm going to come down into a squat position. And we'll just do a couple squats here. So we're going to start off in a squat position, bouncing on the balls of our toes. Our hands are here for helping us to balance. And then we're going to straighten our legs out and come into a forward fold. And then come back down to a squat. Inhale, come back up to a forward fold. Well, maybe it's exhale. Yeah, exhale. Inhale to a squat. And one last exhale to forward fold. And then sweep your hands all the way up overhead. And bring your hands to heart center. And then bring your fingertips to the back of your hips for a supported back bend. Your feet are about hip width apart. Palms are on the back of your hips. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is tucked to the chest. And then just send your shoulders back. for a nice supported back bend. Inhale, come back up. We'll sweep our hands up overhead. Inhale deeply, exhale, forward fold. Bring your hands down to the mat and extend both feet to the back of the mat into downward dog, not fully back, but to downward dog. So your hands, again, your fingertips are spread wide apart. The weight of your hands should be in your fingertips and the balls underneath, not in your wrists. Arms are straight. Chest is reaching toward your thighs. Hips are up to the air. Knees are bent, or you could be pedaling. Just a couple deep inhales and exhales here. And then on the inhale, we're going to bring our left knee to our left elbow. So inhale, bringing the left knee to the left elbow, pushing off with your right toes. And hold there for a moment. And then come back to downward dog, pedal out. Inhale, left knee to left elbow, pushing off with your right toes. And then back to downward dog. And we're going to bring our left foot on the inhale, bring our left foot between our hands. So inhale, bring your left foot up so you're in runner's lunge. So the knees right above your ankle, your back leg is extended nice and straight and strong, pushing to the back of the mat with your right heel. Then bring your right knee down to the mat for low lunge. And we'll do some half monkeys here. So we're going to straighten out our front leg, and you can ride your thigh with your rib cage on down, bringing your head down toward the knee. And then inhale, come back up to low lunge. Open your chest, reach, sending your gaze up to the sky. And then straighten out your left leg again, bringing your head down toward your knee. And then back up, inhaling. Inhale, come up, open your chest, lifting your eyes up to the sky. And one last time, straighten out your left leg, bringing your head down toward the knee. And then come back up to low lunge. We'll tuck our right toes under, come back up to runner's lunge. And then we're going to walk our hands to the inside of the left foot and walk them around so that we are facing the long side of the mat. Your toes are pointed toward the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in at 45 degrees. And we'll walk our hands over to our right foot, bringing our head down toward our knee. And then walk our hands over to the left foot, bringing our head down toward our knee. And then walk the hands back to center. Bend your knees, and then bring your hands to your hips and come to an upright position. You're going to come into goddess pose. So you're going to keep that toes pointed to the corners of the mat. Maybe adjust your foot so that a little bit or at a 45-degree angle. Hands are at the hips, and your back is nice and straight. Let's bring our arms up to shoulder height, and then make cactus arms out of them. And then we're gonna reach or bend your knees down, come down, like we're about to sit in a chair. And then stretch our arms, reaching for the sky, come into star pose. Exhale, coming back to cactus arms, bending our knees, sitting down to goddess. Then stretch up to star pose. And then back down to goddess. And one last time up to star. And then we're going to bring our arms down to shoulder height. Pivot our right foot to the left and pivot our left foot to the left. So they're going to come into warrior two. So warrior two, our knees right over our ankle. Knees pointing toward your second and third toe, just so you can see your big toe. Chest is open to the long side of the mat. Back foot, the edge of your back foot is nice and snug into the mat. And this is one of the classic grounding poses. So then we're going to bring our left arm down to our left thigh, and then bring our right arm in back of us. So it's going to just rest along our waistline. And send your gaze down to your left toes. And then just feel the stretch and the grounding here. And then windmill our hands so they come down to the mat, and pivot your back foot so you're back into runner's lunge. And then bring your left foot back to meet your right foot and come into plank. So our wrists are right below our shoulders, fingers are spread nice and wide. Back legs are energized, heels are pushing to the back of the mat. Navel's tucked to the spine, elevating your hips slightly. And then you can come down to the mat gently, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows tucked toward your ribs. Then bring both hands alongside of you and rest one side of your head against the mat. This is prone Shavasana. Then inhale, bring your hands so that they're just below your shoulders. Fingertips are right below your shoulders. And come into a cobra, lifting your hands off the mat. So you're just opening up your chest, lifting it off the mat, and you don't have any pressure on your hands at all. They're off the mat. So it's a gentle back bend. And then bring your fingertips to the mat and gently push a little further up. So you're in a traditional cobra. Elbows are tucked to the ribs. And then push further, come into tabletop, and then down into child's pose. In this child's pose, I'd like you to wrap your arms around your body like you're hibernating. So make a nice tight little ball, tucking your head in toward your knees, bringing your shoulders in close to you, bringing your hands around the backside so you're in this nice little hibernated cave of your own. And then we'll come back up to tabletop and back up to downward dog. And we'll do that all on the other side. So pedal out here for a moment, take a few deep breaths. And then inhale, bringing your right knee to your right elbow, pushing off on your left toes. And then back to downward dog, paddle out. Inhale, bringing the right knee to the right elbow. And then back to downward dog, pedal out. And on the third one, we're going to bring our right foot between our right hands, both our hands into runner's lunge. So runner's lunge, your knees right over your ankle. Back leg is nice and active. Back of your heels pushing to the back of the mat. And then bring the left knee down to the mat. And we'll do the half monkey here. So straighten out that front leg, riding it with your rib cage, bringing your head down toward the knee. Then inhale, come up. And then open your chest, open your heart, raise your eyes up to the sky. And then back down, straightening out the leg, bringing the head to the knee. Inhale, come back up. Opening the chest, sending the eyes up to the sky, which is lowering our hips toward the ground. And one last time, straighten out the leg. Head comes toward the knee. And then inhale, come back up. And then tuck your back toes under, lifting up to runner's lunge. And then bring both hands to the inside of the right foot and walk your hands to the long side of the mat. So your toes are pointing toward the corners of the mat, heels are tucked in to about a 45-degree angle. And we'll walk our hands over to our left foot. Walk our hands over to our right foot, bringing our head toward our knee. Walk our hands back to center. Bend our knees. Nice bend in your knees. Bring your hands to your hips and then come to an upright position, coming into goddess pose. So again, you may want to adjust your feet. Good, nice and grounded in the mat. Bring our arms up to shoulder height. And then cactus our arms. And bend our knees and come down as if we're sitting in a chair into goddess pose. And then stretch up into star, reaching our hands up to the sky, straightening our legs. And then exhale back down to goddess pose. Inhale up to star. Exhale to goddess. And up, reaching as high as you can to star. Then bring your arms down to shoulder height. Pivot both feet toward the right, coming into runner's lunge. So the right foot's pointing to the short edge of the mat. Runner's lunge, no. How about warrior two? Like what? Knees over your ankle. Back foot is nice and anchored into the mat. Chest is open to the long side of the mat. Send your gaze over your right fingertips. And then bring your right arm down to your right thigh. And just lay your left arm along your waistband on the back. And look down toward your right toes. And then cartwheel your hands down to the mat, pivot your back foot, and send your right foot back to your left foot and come into plank pose. The wrists are below your shoulders, navel's tucked to the spine, legs are active, heels are pushed back, and either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows tucked to your ribs. Come down to the mat, and then bring your arms alongside you and lay the opposite side of your face down on the mat. And then bring your hands so that the fingertips are right below your shoulders. And lift your fingertips off the mat, creating a gentle curve, back bend, lifting your head up off the mat. Baby cobra, they call us. And then bring the fingertips back down the mat. And with your elbows tucked to your ribs, push gently down, come up into cobra. Hips are still on the mat. And then push further to come up into tabletop. And then send your hips down to your ankles. And let's make child's pose in that hibernating way. So bringing your head down and tucking in toward your knees, wrapping your arms around yourself. Come into a nice little ball. And then we'll come up to tabletop. And then we're going to come and sit down. So we'll just kind of pivot your body so that you're now seated on the mat. Come into staff pose. Staff pose, your legs nice and long and active. Toes are flexed, pointing up to the sky. You can use your fists to kind of push down, lift your seat up off, and come back down and find your sit bones. So we're going to bring our left leg up, placing the sole of your foot against the right thigh. I'm going to do some forward folds. So this way you can either sweep your arms up overhead and bring your hands down toward your toes, bringing your head toward your knees. That's one option. Or if you like, you can just bring your hands to the sides of your legs and walk down. And see how far you get, to your sweet spot. And you can bring your head down toward your knee as you're walking. So inhale, you're walking, and then exhale, you're lowering. Inhale, walk, exhale, lower. Inhale, walk, exhale, lower. And then either walk your hands back or come back up. And we'll switch legs. Bring the sole of your right foot to your left thigh, inner thigh. And again, straight back that we have from staff pose. Sweep your hands up overhead and lean forward. Bring your hands to your toes for one method. Or if you like, you can walk your fingertips down your left leg. Inhaling and exhaling, inhaling, increasing your length, exhaling, lowering down. Until you get to your sweet spot. Then inhale, come back up. And we're going to roll down on our back, one vertebrae at a time, or this way you can also use express method by putting your hands behind your knees and just rolling back. Bringing your knees to our chest and we give them a gentle hug. And rock back and forth, give our lower back a nice massage. And place the soles of our feet on the mat and bring the edges of our foot to the edges of the mat. So our knees are actually a little further than hip width apart. We're going to bring our arms out at shoulder height. And this is going to be a somatic windshield wiper. So we're going to drop our knees to the right as we turn our head to the left. We're going to have the palm of our left hand facing up. So we're looking at the upward turn left palm, and the right palm is facing down toward the ground. So then we'll inhale, sweep our legs back up to center, and then lower them to the left side as we turn our head to the right. Then the right palm goes up, facing up to the sky. Left palm goes down, facing down to the earth. Then inhale, bring our legs back to center, drop them over to the other side. Turning our head to the left, flipping our hands. So the left palm's up, right palm's down. And then inhale, come back up, knees back up to straight, and then bring them back down to the left side. Turning our head to the right, right palm up, left palm down. And you can just go at your own pace for a few breaths here. And windshield wiper, get that rhythm going as opposed to stop, start. And one last time, meet in the center and extend your legs down to the mat for Shavasana. As you prepare for Shavasana, relax your legs, heels pointing toward the corners of your mat, and feet are flopped open. Your legs are nice and heavy and grounded into the mat. Your hips and lower back is nice and snug into the mat. Feel that your shoulder blades sink into the mat, supported by the earth. Shoulders are nice, relaxed, your jaw's relaxed. And place a gentle smile upon your lips. And today's poem is by Robert Frost, titled October. O hushed October morning mild, thy leaves have ripened to the fall. Tomorrow's wind, if it be wild, should waste them all. The crows above the forest call, tomorrow they may form and go. O hushed October morning mild, begin the hours of this day slow. Make the day seem to us less brief. Hearts not averse to being beguiled, beguile us in the way you know. Release one leaf at break of day. At noon, release another leaf. One from our trees, one far away. Retard the sun with gentle mist, enchant the land with amethyst. Slow, slow, for the grape's sake, if they were all, whose leaves already are burnt with frost, whose clustered fruit must else be lost, for the grape's sake along the wall.